Hi, welcome to this edition of the Town Council Update for Breckenridge Town Council. I'm Kim Dykstra with the Town of Breckenridge, and in a minute we'll hear from Town Manager Tim Gagan on the highlights of the Tuesday, May 26th Town Council meeting. Lots of ways for you to get information. The minutes are actually recorded, so you could get those online, as well as agendas and minutes of other meetings and events and all sorts of information at townofbreckenridge.com. We also have a topic right now posted on engagebreckenridge.com, so we hope that you'll engage with us via that or even Facebook and Twitter. You can always give us some information and input as to how you're feeling about how we're doing at the Town of Breckenridge. Next, we're going to hear from Town Manager Tim Gagan on the May 26th Town Council meeting. May 26th, it was the first Town Council meeting, regular meeting, after the full day of retreat. So had a lot of things that we were kind of just doing a little housekeeping here and there, and then some other items that we were doing follow-up.
Right.
One of kind of the housekeeping ones is Summit Public Radio needed a public easement from us to put some new and improved equipment in.
Right. They actually are located up on Baldy Mountain, and they have basically a antenna site up there, and it's old, and the electrical that goes up there is in need of replacement. So they've been working on a project to replace that electrical. They have a fundraising campaign that's going to be a part of that, but in order to get up there, they needed to have a way to do it. So they looked at a route up some of the existing Forest Service roads and town and county open space roads. So they were coming to us basically for permission to use the road to put the electrical in. So we call that a public easement, and the council gave tentative approval for that to move forward, and I believe the county is also doing the same thing.
Great. It's a great service we have in our community. So, and then as usual, we have, it's summertime, which that means construction time and or public projects time.
Right.
Got a lot of great projects. So the council received a fairly long list of public projects updates.
Right. Well, we have a lot of them ongoing, and the rain has affected a few of them. And one of our goals in most of these public projects, particularly on the roads, is to get them done by July 4th, because that's a really busy time for us. So the public works staff and engineering staff were reporting that basically that we're a little behind. Most of those are on schedule, but the good news is we have some that are just about ready to open. So they announced some public openings. The Masonic Hall is ready for, I believe it's the 23rd opening. That'll be in the evening time, kind of a showcase of that space there. And you go by it right now, the blank white walls are down, so you can now see the front of the building and what that's going to look like. We also have the skateboard park and the turf field going to happen that same day at 10 o'clock. We're going to basically an official ribbon cutting for those two projects that were actually completed last year, other than landscaping. And then we also have another one that's going to be
the turf field and the at Pinewood 2.
Pinewood 2.
Pinewood 2 is
Pinewood
actually the 23rd.
2 is the 23rd.
Yep.
That actually is going to be a ribbon cutting. Though they've started digging the holes, we'll actually be over there to officially kick that project off. So a variety. The 9th is another important date in June. So keep your eyes open. They'll be in the papers to announce the different openings. And we have a little small one that most people don't know about. It's called the pump track. And the pump track used to be located out by the ice rink. It was a dedicated park that was donated to us. But now that we're expanding parking, we're moving that over to what we call the Stilson property. And that's off of Wellington Road where you see the big berm. It's also where we put the solar garden. So in about 3 weeks, that's going to open also. So a variety of big opening dates for a lot of these projects that have been completed and are ready for use by the public.
Yes, and we have a lot of those updates on our website under projects and issues, pardon my desk.
Right.
So
check it out.
Yes, exactly. And financials, we get the great reports. Well, we hope great reports every month, and this was no exception. Got some good reports for March and April.
Right. March is our sales tax, and April is our other funds. Generally, the good news on the April is that we continue to track slightly ahead on revenue and slightly behind on expenses. These are our general fees, building permit fees, things like that. So we've had a good early start to the spring going in for a number of those projects. On the sales tax side, interestingly, March was a little flatter than what we've been seeing in January and February, but we're still ahead of budget. Which is good news. Construction aside, which was really the industry that was lacking or really slow, had really picked up, and that was good news. But some of our other categories like lodging, restaurants and retail, which are kind of our bread and butter during those winter seasons, were a little bit more comparable to last year, still slightly ahead. I believe in one case lodging was actually under. And marijuana actually dipped a little bit, which was a little bit unusual given what we thought were fairly good crowds here. But that was also after the relocation of a marijuana establishment out to Airport Road. We don't know what impact that had, but there was at least a slight dip, though still a strong month overall.
And real estate transfer tax continues to be strong.
Right, we actually had 2 big closings, which really jumped that one up. Everybody read the paper. They saw that Main Street Station retail had just been sold to new owners, which we're very excited about because that's really been hurting over there with a lot of vacancies. So hopefully these new owners can really pick that up a little bit. And then there was a property up on Shock Hill that was sold, and both those generated quite a bit of funds for our real estate transfer tax.
Some good, exciting things, even though they're smaller.
Yep.
They are exciting things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the town and the county, Summit County, have worked on something called transferable density
Development rights.
Development rights.
Right.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, we kind of made an adjustment to our TDRs.
Right. This program is a part of our open space and also a part of our hope to reduce density overall in the valley. So the county and the town have what we call a TDR agreement, and it's been in place for a number of years since we did the Upper Blue Master Plan. And the concept is that when we buy open space back in the backcountry and we strip any density that's on there, and those are TDRs, transferable development rights, and then we put them in a bank. And then the idea is to hopefully put, if any density does get built that's new or in addition to what's historically been there, it would be happening in the core town. So in the center of town as opposed to in the backcountry. So that program's actually been working very well, but lately they added a component to the program in 2009, which is called wetlands. And it was an idea that they also wanted to protect wetlands out there in the backcountry area. And what we found is that some of the development community has discovered that it's cheaper to buy wetlands directly from the property owner than it is to go to the TDR bank and buy the density when they need it for a project. So we've had a couple of cases where they went majority wetlands as opposed to the bank. And so the idea was to bring balance back to that, where that really wasn't the intent of the program. It was the intent to really use those TDRs because they go back into open space purchases as the main source for future uses by developers. So the council's looking at a plan that would reduce how many wetland lots you could use in lieu of the TDR bank.
Right. And the council also looked at sign codes.
Yep.
Again.
We have been looking at that for a little while, yes.
And we had a task force made up of a couple of our council members that actually really looked at it in depth and came back to the full council with their recommendations. And, that will be brought to the council for full adoption over the next couple of months.
Yeah, our first step a few months ago was to really look at the problem of sandwich boards. And that drove a discussion beyond sandwich boards. So the council really had a chance to go out, walk the downtown, look at where people were abusing the sign code, outside displays. Sandwich boards were the 2 biggest, but they also noticed that there are things in the windows, some of which are nice, some of which that aren't so nice. So it was kind of like, well, what should our code really do in that area? So this task force took the ideas from that tour and worked on it, and they've come back with a few changes that will enhance the business community. For instance, the idea is to not have the windows totally plastered with posters. But if you have a nice display back behind the windows that's decorative, that's not in the window itself, that probably works okay. There's another concept of what they call ribbons, which is both the lower and the upper part of windows that some stores have put in. Technically that's a sign, but the council felt it really doesn't qualify as a sign. It really just decorates the window, and you're still using the main window for the stores for merchandise display. So that's another one that they'll be revising. And there were a couple other minor cleanup changes that the council felt would work. There's some thing about holiday displays. And that kind of gets into a touchy area because in the area of free speech, you can't get into regulating too much religious displays and those type of things. But we do have things like blow-up things during Halloween. And we have an ice cream cone in front of an ice cream cone place. And so the council talked a lot about those. How far should that go? Most of those are temporary. Most of them are only up for the season. So the discussion was trying to keep them within the seasonality, and in some cases where the thing is more of a brand of the business, i.e. the ice cream cone, maybe those are okay as long as they don't get out of hand. So they were willing to let that kind of go and see how that kind of develops over the next couple of years. And if it doesn't become a problem, it probably works. If it does become a problem, then they can come back and look at it again.
Yep, great. Well, I know that this council as well as councils before, but particularly this council right now, has heard from the community through research, through public opinions, through the grocery store and the post office. Man, traffic's a problem here in our town. And while traffic is a blessing, when we because they're an influx of tourism, there are some challenges.
Right.
People finding parking spots, because we do have a number of parking in our parking management plan, and so I think this council in particular is very interested in saying, we've heard you. We're moving forward and we're going to do something.
Right.
So we're moving forward with some traffic congestion relief plans.
Right. This council set that as one of their top goals for this year. Well, actually for 2014, going into 2015, and they've been very serious about it. They've said we've done enough studies, we've tinkered with it here and there, we've done a variety of little things to help the problem, but by and large, not everything has worked perfectly, and we don't have a perfect system. We may never have a perfect system. Well, one of the strengths of the town is we have a lot of areas for parking. One of the negatives for the town is it's all small lots scattered all over town, hard to find, and that causes people to just roam around and look for parking. And then of course we have the issues of employees. Where should they park versus where should our guests park? And that's the biggest issue that kind of started the effort that the council was interested in. We have a lot of people that take advantage of a program that it doesn't have any type of real downside to parking in prime business locations, Main Street, that take away from customers. And the council was real concerned about that because it hurts the business economic viability of the town. So they appointed a task force, and at the retreat a couple weeks ago, we reported that the task force has finished their work, presented it to the council, and the council liked many elements of that. So now we're at that next step. So we've put out what we call an FAQ, which is frequently asked questions, to start helping the public understand what the council is looking at now for that plan, that congestion management plan. And the anchor of that, as everybody has probably heard, is the F-lot parking structure. It certainly is a big piece of it, but there's many other elements. There's elements about employee parking. There's elements about how do we get people not to park in the core town. We want to hear the public's feedback. They've talked about no reparking. They talked about no skier parking downtown. They've talked about meters. All those things were debated, reviewed by this task force and presented to the council. And now we're ready to get out to the public and have them give us input related to what is the elements of the plan, with the idea that the FAQ starts it off by saying, here is what we think it is. It sounds like it works. It sounds like it's going to make big improvements. It's not cheap. We've got to figure out how to pay for it. There's a lot of discussion about who should that rely on, and clearly the council believes that one of the biggest contributors to our congestion problem during those busy times is the ski area. Now that's both a blessing and a curse. They also help our economy. So there's a talk again about revenue streams. We've talked about lift ticket taxes, admission taxes, all those type of things as to how to pay for particularly a parking structure. So all that's going to be on the table here in the next couple of months for folks to have a chance to give us input about. Engage Breck has already kicked that off. Our website now has information about that. We'll be having public forums. We'll be meeting with different groups like the Restaurant Association, the Chamber, or the Tourism Office, lodging community, HOAs, anybody that would give us some time to kind of lay out what the plan is, how does it work, why does it work well together, and then hopefully based on that input we'll be looking at an implementation plan towards the end of fall for this year.
Great. Again, more stuff on our
very exciting.
It's town website. It is.
I think the council's very excited about the plan, and they think it really does start to make a big impact to those issues that we hear about from the public.
And this is not just a temporary. I mean, this is something that's going to affect our community for the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah, and part of the plan was to look that far ahead. It wasn't to look at just today's problem, but really what are the problems down the road? Because we will continue to have, hopefully, some growth of visitors. and with that growth comes more traffic. So
Great.
stay tuned.
Yes, exactly. There you have it, the highlights of the Breckenridge Town Council meeting on May 26. Lots going on here, and so I hope that you will engage with us. Check out online townofbreckenridge.com, as well as engagebreckenridge.com, where we have a Facebook page and Twitter, and we'd like for you to give us your input, give us some feedback. The Town Council's always interested in hearing what you think about the job they're doing and some issues that are pending for you that you'd like to hear more about. The next Town Council meeting, they're held on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month, will be June 9th. The work session begins at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's always interesting to hear how the council is updated on a lot of different projects and their thought processes and thinking and lots of things that are going on, public project updates, that type of thing. And then the evening session begins at 7:30 in the evening, same day, June 9th, and that's complete with public comment. So if you'd like to come and give us your comment through that, you can come visit us at a Town Council meeting. It's held right here in the Breckenridge Town Hall, located at the Council Chambers at 150 Ski Hill Road. On behalf of the Town of Breckenridge, I appreciate you being engaged with the town and look forward to seeing you at the next Town Council meeting.